Hello, I'm Chrissy Arnold. I serve as the president of the Adams County Farm Bureau. Welcome to our 14th annual joint meeting with Adams County Farm Bureau and Adams County Soil and Water. Thank you for joining us here on Zoom. We'll all be excited for next year so we can get back to a normal meeting. I'm going to turn it over to Chris Steele.
Hey, just wanted to say a quick prayer to get things started. Dear Heavenly Father, we're just thankful and grateful that you allow us to operate as farmers and be involved in agriculture. We pray blessings on our crops this year, and as we get started, that you would protect all of us in our actions, and pray that you'd just allow us to be grateful and allow us to just continue to bless those in our community who support us. And we just give you all the praise and the glory. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So 2020 was my first year as president, and wow, was it a crazy year to be the president for the first year. We were able to keep a couple of our traditions alive. Every year we do an award, a 10-year award, where we give two 10-year 4-H members an award. It's called the 10-year award. And this year we awarded it to Madison Schumann, I'm sorry, I said that wrong, and Alexa Rackaway. We were also able to give our two scholarships, two $750 scholarships. Those winners this year were Jocelyn Zerker and Samantha Curry. Both ladies were Adams Central graduates. Thank you. Lynette?
Yeah.
It's Lynette now, I'm sorry.
Go see the board here.
Oh, okay. So here's our current board members, and we do have some openings. If you can think of anybody that you would like to let us know would be a good fit. This is the insurance agents and the District 4 staff. And now it'll be Lynette.
Okay, the election results. Adam Lehman was elected vice president again. Ingrid Colhagen was newly elected to the CEOC position. Our delegates this year for state convention are Fred Kunkel and Justin Hummel, with alternates being John Frock. The board members, Brad and Ingrid from Blue Creek, Eric Rediger from Hartford, Brian Amstutz from Jefferson, Chrissy Arnold from Kirkland, Monroe, Mr. and Mrs. Justin Hummel, Root Township, Fred Kunkel, Wabash, Lynn Hallbigger, Washington, John Frock, and at large are Chris Steele and Sam Steiner. The young farmer and rancher representative would be Addie Minnick, and all of our resolutions passed. Sorry.
Can I get the next slide, Brad? Thank you. All right, we'll go through our resolutions. Adams County Farm Bureau believes that the Adams County rule numbering system needs to be enforced so that all county residences must display in a predominant location within 15 feet of the roadway a reflective sign or reflective letter placed on the mailbox for that address, which will aid in the speed and accuracy of emergency response. Some of that came from the fire department standpoint, emergency personnel. Obviously, that's why it's wrote in there. Just to speed and help people out quicker, the essential hour. So that's the reason for that, and that resolution has passed. We support extremity lighting on farming equipment used on the public roads, especially in inclement weather and darkness. A little bit behind that one, a lot of side view coming up on equipment. It's hard to see. We're having a lot of T-bone type accidents. Again, kind of from the fire standpoint in the world that I stand on. So, that resolution has also passed. The meat inspectors, as we have heard, we're increasing funding for the meat inspectors in Indiana. We have kind of a shortage and things are tight to get in the packers, especially here with as COVID hit, kind of spike in want for more homegrown meat and people filling their freezers. The amount of meat inspectors is definitely in need. So that's what comes behind that. And that resolution has passed. The career and technical education, this increased funding and availability and access to career and technical education with pathways towards a trade, including entrepreneurship classes associated with those trades, as well as partnerships with local businesses to allow students to experience the application of their trade and how to conduct a business in their field or trade of choice. And that kind of ties in with our meat inspectors, building, farming, all that type of thing. And that resolution has passed. Renewable energy, we support the promotion and use of ethanol, E85 biodiesel fuels through advertising, education, and research into producing these ag-based fuels. Again, that helps our corn market and soybean markets. I think that's a good thing to support. So that also has passed.
Okay. Drew Cleveland here. I'm the regional manager for Farm Bureau. First of all, I just wanted to welcome everyone for being on for this meeting and appreciate your time and effort for being here online and virtual this year. So we're excited to try something new. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. I wanted to introduce our health plan manager, Patrick Williams. And this is a new effort, a result of a lot of time and effort that we put in last year and really the year before that, researching how Farm Bureau could provide health plans to our members. And from the result of a year of research and a lot of outreach, talking to a lot of different people, we figured out that we could provide a health plan for our members, but we had to have legislation in Indiana that would allow us to do that. And so Brad has a picture on there of our legislative kickoff in 2019. So we had people from every county go down and we kicked off the session and we prioritized this is our #1 goal. And so I think we had close to 1,000 members participate and be involved, either making contact through phone calls, emails, or personal visits to the State House. And as a result of all of that effort, we were able to get that legislation passed. And so now, after that, we were able to actually implement our health plan. And so this is why Patrick Williams is with us tonight. And I'll turn it over to him to explain a little more about what we're doing.
Thank you, Drew, and good evening, everyone. I appreciate the time today. We've had a tremendous amount of success thus far with the health plans, primarily due to the engagement of our membership. Today, I'll sort of discuss with you today what exactly it is what we're offering, how the plan is progressing, and what its impact has been on overall membership from a state level as well as down to Adams County as well. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen here. Wonderful. So just again, kind of a quick refresher. We were offering 4 different traditional plans. These plans are for those that are under the age of 65. Our main goal here was to make sure that we offered not only a reliable plan, but a plan that can actually save our members a significant amount of money. When we compare ourselves to the ACA, we're averaging 30 to 50% less for an individual plan and 50 to 70% less for a family plan. So we have some significant savings here. Now, it is important to note that these traditional plans aren't considered insurance, and nor did we want them to be. To be deemed insurance, you can't medically underwrite, which again does not allow us to become insurance. But because of that, we are saving our members thousands of dollars year over year. Some of the benefits include that we do offer preventive care. We've got a terrific maternity benefits. We've got a nationwide network, which is significantly different from the ACA. We allow our members who have these plans to go across state lines to seek medical attention anywhere in the United States, as long as the doctor or hospital accepts United Healthcare, which 95% of doctors and hospitals do. So again, these are very robust plans. We have a full range too. Our Advanced Choice and Classic Choice are going to be very comprehensive plans. Then we're going to have that in-between plan, that high deductible health plan, and then our major medical, which is going to be, again, a plan that's going to be very inexpensive but have higher deductibles before you can enact some of the coverages. Again, all of these plans at the end of the day, if it's deemed medically necessary by your doctor, we are going to cover them. Now, we also have dental vision plans as well that could be separate or they can be coupled with any of our plans, depending on what the family's needs are. Our choice plans do have a small dental vision plan built in. For those that are 65 and older, we do have Medicare supplement plans, A, D, G, and N. Now, all these plans for the supplements are geared towards covering the excess costs of Part A, inpatient, Part B, outpatient costs of Medicare. It is important to note, too, that from an enrollment standpoint for our traditional plans and our dental vision plans, you can apply at any time throughout the year. Unlike the ACA, we do not have special enrollment windows or scenarios for you to join. You can come in at any time. Our Medicare supplements, though, they are federally regulated plans, so they do have certain enrollment periods as listed down here. Now, from a production standpoint, we are looking very strong so far. 81% of those who are applying are actually accepted, which is a tremendous number. We've bound over 900 plans as well. Our Medicare supplement plans were around just shy of 90%, which is outstanding. We also have child-only plans. These are really important too, because oftentimes, if you do have an employer, they may only cover the spouse. So again, various scenarios for there. And then our dental vision plans have also been very popular. We don't require any medical underwriting, so they fly right through the system. We're seeing a good amount of submissions too from our membership as well. You'll see almost 1,500 applications were submitted in the fourth quarter of 2020, and then we're around 425 thus far for 2021. As you'll note, during open enrollment is when we see the most amount of activity, just because that's front and center for most individuals. Now, this is a little bit of a busy graph here, but what I'm trying to show here is that because of health plans, we're seeing a significant impact in new membership growth. If you look all the way to the right of the screen, you'll see October 2020 through January of 2021. Those 4 months compared to 2019 and 2018, you'll see that that quarter, the introduction of health plans has actually helped drive that new membership growth. And we are actually beating the last 2 years as well, which is really encouraging to see. A few notes too, if you look at the bottom, our new member submissions, 24% in the fourth quarter of 2020, and thus far in 2021, we're at 36%. Now, what we're looking at from that standpoint is a member who joined in no later than August of last year, which is when we really started promoting the health plans and letting people know that we were going to be coming into effect on the first of the year. And a lot of these individuals too joined because of health plans. So that gives us the opportunity to really talk about all the benefits that our membership has to offer. Now, forgive me if this is a little small here because it's pretty busy, but this is just gauging how Adams County is doing thus far this year compared to the last 2 years. So as of this year, so the 9th of March, new membership is actually up you'll compare it to the last year, new members 63 versus 49, which is really encouraging to see here. Also, from a participation in the health plans, we have 14 bound plans and 1 bound plan from a new member. So again, we're seeing Adams County actually showing some really good participation with the health plans. So the more that we can get that message out, letting people know that you can enroll at any time, and these plans not only will save you a significant amount of money just from your monthly premium standpoint, but allows you access to medical attention anywhere in the United States. With that being said, I'm going to throw it back over to Drew here, and happy to answer any questions, comments, concerns that there may be.
I should have pointed out earlier, if anyone has a question, if you're used to using Zoom, we actually have a chat feature, and you can submit a question to our chat, and I'd be happy to ask the question for you, or you can ask it yourself. Are there any questions? Don't really see any, so I'm going to turn it over to Brad.
Okay. Thank you, Pat and Drew and everyone else. Hopefully everyone's having a good evening so far. We're right on schedule, believe it or not, according to our agenda here that we've created. So that's a good thing. Next thing, I get the privilege and honor to hand out the Adams County Legacy in Agriculture Award. This is something we started back in 2014 amongst the groups that came together. You can see the list of pretty cool names there that we try to come together as an organization and pick out some people who have made an impact in agriculture in our county. And it's been a interesting thing, and a lot of stories, a lot of conversations amongst the groups to pick out these winners. And so we've been doing pretty good. This year, the exciting thing, I've been pretty excited. I know they've been on this list that we've been having for quite some time, but this year it's not really been a secret. If you've caught the newspapers and different things lately, it's been advertised to, I guess I've kind of done that to entice some people to get on and say hi to Fred and Mary Schumann. So we definitely want to congratulate them on getting this award this year. I actually got to visit them. Some people are clapping their hands, I know, and I know it's a little difficult because we've got this virtual thing going on, but if you don't know Fred and Mary, I was trying to go through the list here. There are some students of his on. I saw Eric Steiner get on. I know he's from Washington, D.C. and was a state officer and everything. So I guess we got a lot of good people on there that have been his students and things. But Fred graduated from Purdue. He also, if you didn't know, taught FFA and as an ag instructor at DeKalb, Clinton Central, and then Kent State University. And then, good thing, he came to South Adams. And he started to teach at South Adams around the fall of '78 and then retired the summer of 2007. So that gives him about 30 years. Okay. And Mary, I mean, if you know anything about FFA in the ag department, I'm telling you, it takes two. It takes a lot of people to do what especially Fred did. So it was a mutual thing. But Mary also had a job working at as a medical technologist at Bluffton Regional. Okay. And her kids, I know some people have told me since they've seen this in the paper and they said, Brad, what's going on with their kids? And so I know some of you have known their kids that are online here. Philip built like a home and a pole barn up there on the Schumann farm, actually, up where they're at in Hudson, along the lake. He's just up by them, basically. So lives the closest. Has a wife, Miranda, daughter, India, and son, John. Kate married a British man, Andrew, and they live in Beaconsville, United Kingdom. I haven't been there and have no idea where that is, but I know where United K is. His children are Caroline and Freddie, and Irvin lives in the Adams Central School District down here by us yet. Stephanie is his wife and Will is his son. So I do have a couple more pictures here real quick tonight that when I visited them, they kind of threw at me a little bit. So I try to scan them in. I know some of you can maybe recognize a couple people, and I'll scan through these really quickly as I also talk a little bit, because when visiting with them, Mary kind of told me Fred's greatest achievement was his students. The students are now the pillars of the community. She is excited to see them on Facebook, and she keeps in touch with quite a bit of them with Fred. If you know Fred, I mean, he was always into judging. I mean, specifically dairy and soils. I know when I was in Rensselaer FFA, it was tough competing against them. And like I say, that was, Mary told me, like, he always tried to teach them why they were making choices. And his students knew the drill, and it was a lifelong skill for them to learn. As you can see pictures of them and proposing here in the camera of all their winnings and things like that. Community service is always part of the FFA. I know they always invested a lot of time at the fairgrounds, tractor pull, picking up trash, landscaping, the Mennonite meat canning situation, Swiss Village. They always did a lot of stuff in the community, and that's good. And Mary also said agriculture is multifaceted. We have livestock, crops, horticulture, and all this type of stuff. So it comes under the umbrella of taking care of Adams County. And so she said it was a privilege working with so many people who cared about and took pride in their surroundings. And so that's always a good thing. And Fred, some of his highlights also here. I mean, if you don't know, I mean, he had multiple years. I think it was like 9 years total national soils, 6 years in national dairy, state LATA team, national quiz bowl, Adams County, and then the state secondary conservation teacher of the year award in 2000, 2002. So that was always a highlight. Special distinguished award in 2007. And I don't know if I could say I can go on all day and talk about Fred Schumann. I mean, I knew him growing up as a past state officer and different things through the FFA, and I got to know him even better. I was a state officer with Joe Caffey. He was from Adams County and was president. And so I got to know him quite a bit, but being in his classroom, if you ever been in his classroom, it was just awesome how it was like a masterpiece of his ceiling tiles were full of pictures and awards and certificates and just everything you can name it. So it was really cool. So I know there's just tons of stories that people can tell. And I know I was reading a book about him a little bit, and it said Schumann one time their transmission broke down at Purdue campus, I guess. And he had a bunch of guys get out there in front of a bunch of girls at Purdue College, and he held the brakes down while they were trying to push the van. So that was pretty cool. I mean, someone else told him how he drove kids clear out to Washington, D.C., came back to teach, drove them to go pick them back up and brought them back out there. Most of us would just stay out there. But Fred always gave it his all, I know, through everything. I know Lynn Hallbaker's a Farm Bureau member, and he also said, Fred gave me some advice that I still try to follow today. The more effort you put into something, the more you'll receive. And most of the time you'll receive more than you put in it. So that's pretty cool. But last little thing I wanted to say was when I was up there visiting Fred, it seemed like brought tears to my eyes a little bit. He kept asking me, if you don't know, I mean, I think Fred and Mary are in really good health. Fred seems to have even more hair than I got lately, it seems like. And so he's doing really good. He's got his cane yet and everything, but his mind is going, unfortunately. And so I know that was just incredible for me to see that. But he kept asking me when I was taking his picture of the award, he kept asking, he said, Brad, what are you going to do with these pictures? And he asked me a couple times. I tried to tell him, hey, I'm going to use them for advertising and publicity and for our annual meeting. I tried to explain to him and everything. And I know some of your students will probably say, I know sometimes they always make a joke. They had to go find Schumann. They didn't know where he was. And then sometimes they had to go find his cane for him. But I always remember, I know I only had a couple years here with him. He always would say, hey guys, where's the camera? Get the camera. We got to take a picture. He always did really well on scrapbook. So that was always a highlight with him is getting pictures. And it was really cool. I mean, he was grinning and smiling when I took his picture. And so I could hear him tell me, like, get the camera, take a picture. And and he was grinning and smiling. I think even Mary was noticing that, how excited he was, because I know that always meant a lot of him to do well and win. And take pictures. And so it was an honor and privilege, Fred and Mary, for me to take your picture. And give you this award. And the FFA motto, I know most of you probably know it, that's on there, and I just can't think of anything better to close out with on this deal. The FFA motto says, I mean, Mary and Fred really hit it to a T: learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, and living to serve. So Fred and Mary, congratulations. And I don't know if Mary wants to say anything or anyone wants to chat or chime in or anything on it real quick. We don't have a lot of time, but we'll let Mary talk if she wants to. I know Fred's there too.
Mary, you'll have to unmute.
Oh yeah, now is that good? Is that
Yes.
good?
We can hear you.
Okay. So I just want to acknowledge and thank the Farm Bureau, the FFA, and the Soil and Water for this honor for Fred. He really did appreciate working in Adams County. The county was supportive of agriculture, and that was an amazing thing. And so we really thank you all and appreciate it so much.
Okay, well, with that, again, thank you, Fred and Mary, and good luck on your retirement. They have a really nice lakefront up there. I know they were telling me earlier, it's like, well, if you come up and give me this award, you'll have to look at how nice it is with the frozen lake and people in the snow. And I'm thinking, I don't like winter, but it probably is pretty cool to look at that at the winter time, and then in the summertime, get to enjoy the nice warmth and things like that. So congratulations once again. Next up, I will turn it over to John Frock to introduce our main speaker for this evening.
Thanks, Brad. Hey, John Frock here. We'd like to take this time to introduce meteorologist Ryan Martin. He is a very important tool in every farmer's toolbox. Welcome, Martin, on behalf of Adams County Farm Bureau. We are blessed he took this time to join us. And turn it over to Ryan.
All right, John, thank you very much. You'll notice I have divided loyalties. I think it's great that Adams County puts together this extravaganza in collaboration with the Farm Bureau and the SWCD. I am an SWCD supervisor in Kosciuszko County, and I'm Kosciuszko County president of the Farm Bureau. So I get to wear both the shirt and the hat tonight to talk to you, and I'm talking about neither of those businesses. We're going to talk about the business of weather and of markets. And I subtitled tonight's presentation, Making Adults Cry for Their Mothers Since the Dawn of Time, because weather and markets have the ability to make all of us, whether we're trying to predict weather, whether we're trying to grow crops in the weather, whether we're trying to market crops, whether we're trying to grow crops to market, it makes us all look foolish at one point in time or another. So if I want to continue in this business, I have to be able to continue to be foolish from time to time. So we're going to try and do that in front of you here tonight. So let's move forward. Address the elephant in the room straight up front. Everybody I talk to this year basically says the same thing. Holy cow, it's dry. The elephant in the room is the drought monitor. The elephant in the room is the dryness that we see all across the countryside. Look at this map. This is just from earlier this week. Well, I guess it was last week. It was a week ago. It's the 9th already. But here's the drought monitor. It shows burning up areas in West Texas, New Mexico, the Great Plains, and all of us together say, we don't care. But we're starting to see just a little bit of dryness develop over Indiana. But what I want to point out to you is it's just a little bit of dryness. Now, as I talk to farmers on a daily basis, dear heavens, I hear one thing over and over and over. And Drew, go ahead to the next slide. everybody basically saying that with this dryness, with this little tongue of dryness moving across the northern part of the state mostly, we're starting to see some slight droughts in Stark County, Pulaski, on into Newton, Jasper County, White County, so on and so forth. But basically, all of this is leading guys to say it's 2021. I actually had one guy up in Lower Michigan tell me his pond levels, his water levels are lower than this time in 2021. Drew, go ahead. As we take a look, though, this is not 2021. This is not 2012, rather. I flipped my numbers. Not 2012. This is 2021. This is 2012. The map right here from this same week back 9 years ago. And at this time in 2012, we were looking just fine. Plenty of moisture coming. So anybody that's talking about this being 2012 is not quite playing it just exactly right. A guy that I look at certain points of time put it this way. I've been doing this whole weather thing now for a while, and I observe a few things in March. Someone always sees another 2012 coming, and it's most likely a sales ploy. What do they have to tell you or sell you if they're talking about 2012? Number two, someone always wants to put out a summer forecast early, and it's not any more accurate despite what they say. The guy that said this, I'll give him props. It's Ed Valley of Empire Weather. Now, Ed, in and of himself, puts out some forecasts that I don't agree with from time to time. But you know what? These two observations that he's talking about on weather are exactly right. We're going to hear a lot of talk in the weeks and months to come, probably about 2012. Why? Because we're geared up for it. It's been dry all the way back into last fall. I will not discount that we're dealing with a moisture deficit right now, but I think that's going to throw a few wrinkles at us that are more than likely not going to work the way that everybody is expecting at this point in time. So we're going to start with the short-term forecast. Now, through the end of March. This is pretty easy. If you listen to me on Hoosier Ag Today, on the Hoosier Ag Today podcast, check out what I write over on Ohio AgNet. You're going to hear this same kind of thought process in my voice and the forecasts now through the end of March. We're going to be moving this pattern into a little bit more of an active range here, starting within the next day or so. I don't think anything happens tomorrow, but we'll see rain on Thursday. We see rain next Monday, and we see rain next Thursday. That one could be snow. So 3 rain chances the next 10 days, but we flip that extended forecast pattern back dry again. Unfortunately, as we flip that pattern back dry, it's with a significant cold surge. Let me tell you something. Mother Nature's not done with winter yet. I would wish that it was. I love being outside the past couple of days. My wife was around the neighborhood earlier today with my boys who are in 4-H selling geraniums for a fundraiser. And let me tell you, you sell a lot more geraniums when it's 65 degrees outside than you do when it's 35 degrees outside. So I wish it would continue. It will not. The month will stay below normal for Northeast Indiana on precipitation. Our active precipitation tracks, this next 10 days notwithstanding, the active tracks are going to be farther south into the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, and into the deep south. And I think there will be another active track a little bit farther to the northwest across the upper Midwest and into the UP. One thing I need to point out, ice is leaving the Great Lakes very quickly. That will continue, even with this colder surge. I'm looking for about 5 days of well below normal temperatures toward the tail end of next week on into the following week. And then we start to bounce back. April looks mild. That's your short-term forecast. Now, most of you want to see the long-term forecast. And this is my model that I put together every year. If you recall, if you see me at the farm show, I love giving you these model forecasts with graphs that make you go, that's not very pretty. What the heck is this? Well, I'll tell you what this is. This is 3 iterations of what we could see as we move through the spring and summer. What you're looking at here on this graph is you're looking at the 0 line being very important. That 0% line, that is normal precipitation. And these are the months down below: March, April, May, June, July. I don't need to read the months to you. You all can read. But what you can see here is March, we're projecting about half of normal precipitation for the month. We're on track to do that, even if the moisture comes together across Northeast Indiana, Adams County, here in the next 10 days. The way I see, we're still on track to be below normal by about half for March. We are seeing mostly normal to below normal in April. All 3 model runs are looking the same way. May will probably see closer to normal precipitation, and June is going to give us our best shot at normal to slightly above moisture overall. Once we get into July, we start a downhill cycle, and August is going to be rather dry, September rather dry as well. So I'm telling you right now, if this crop can get in the ground early and be up, looking to move right along quickly, it should get a nice springboard with June rains, trying then to hold on through July. And this does look like a forecast that is going to be more friendly toward corn growth and development, maybe than soybeans. So that's the long-term precipitation. You say, oh, Ryan, but 2012, take a look at the next one. This is the same exact precipitation, the black dotted line is what we saw in 2012. There's the difference between what I'm projecting for this year and what happened in 2012. 2012, we saw moisture actually start through this first quarter of the year normal to above. Honestly, we saw it all fall apart April, May, June, and then got back close to normal toward the end of the growing season. Nothing like that in this round of forecasts from me. Temperature wise, we are warm, no doubt about it. I don't care about this upcoming 5-day cold stretch. I will live through it. I don't like it, but it is what it is. March, April, May looking normal to above normal. Actually, not normal, just above normal across the area. June, July, August, normal to slightly above normal. So this means you're going to be getting plenty of heat units for your crop. And as long as we get those levels of moisture, especially in June, that we were projecting on that precipitation forecast, I think we're going to be just fine for this crop growth and development season, despite the dryness that we see right now. So we take this weather model situation and move into the markets. Here's where it gets really fun. I'm going to show you a bunch of charts right now, and I am watching the time closely. I'm going to try and get out of here pretty quick. This is a continuous soybean chart. So this shows prices on a weekly basis. So this is a continuous weekly chart going all the way back to 2000. So you can see right now we're in the midst of an elevator to the sky. But what I want to point out to you is if you look at some retracement levels on this continuation chart, it suggests that we're bumping up close here to a level that we may see some resistance in this market. So this is continuous. So this is old crop soybeans. So anybody that says, oh, I'm not going to sell till $15 or $15.50, pay attention to the chart. There's a less and less and less amount of times that we see in history that we're trading above this level, 1470, 1471. And it just is going to be more and more difficult to get this market to move higher. So this chart looks exciting, but anytime you see a chart go up that sharp, I draw your attention back to 2008, the last time this chart went up quite that sharply. And look at what happened behind it, 2009 into 2010, it fell just as sharply. Take a look at new crop beans. Same basic patterns here on the chart. Oh, wait, we'll go continuous corn first. Similar on corn. We're looking at the major scenario, big elevator to the sky right now, but also looking at running into some resistance here. And I'm looking over at my big screen to the side. I got the same chart up on it. 590 to 591 could be some significant resistance on this corn. So is corn going to $6? Easy, probably, could. Will I guarantee it? Nope. I think we got some resistance here coming up within about 30 cents of where we closed today. Now let's take a look at the new crop. On soybeans, the Novi beans, this chart right here continually moving higher. Yes, we had a few corrections here and there, but this chart goes up, 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 and all of it has happened here, or I shouldn't say all, a large part of it has happened here since the last harvest. So it's happened over the winter where we haven't been looking at any kind of domestic production. I'm telling you right now, I think this November soybean market is looking a little toppy right now. Now, is toppy right here within 20 cents at 12.80, or is it $1 at 13.80? I don't know, but I know there's a lot of dollars below rather than above where we can go just yet. I think the same thing for the corn market. Looking at that December corn market, we've had a little bit bigger of a correction there back at the turn of the year, but now this corn market continues to take off to the upside. Why? I mean, we all know this. We've all watched the markets, but why? Well, here's some things that we actually have to pay attention to. Drew, go ahead to the next one. What factors are we having to look at here in the short term? Well, weather is one of them, but it's not the U.S. weather. We don't care about U.S. weather right now. What have we heard about for weeks and weeks and weeks? South American weather, South American weather. Now it's too warm and too dry in the south, and it's too wet in the north. I heard a report yesterday, Mato Grosso, 280 hectares, 10% of a farm's overall acres, abandoned on the soybeans. The beans are sprouting in the field. They are seeding corn into standing, sprouting soybeans. They're calling the beans a complete loss. 10%. But what happened on today's USDA report? 134 million metric tons, up a million from last report. What's going on? So the factor that I'm looking at here is the weather in South America has continued to be talked about over and over, but when do we see the results from the chatter and the headline risk? What I mean is, when do we realize a smaller crop? I don't know, but it has to come at some point, or the funds are going to say to heck with this and run for the exits. Acres, this is going to be a big one. This prospective plantings report comes out the 31st. What are we going to plant in the U.S.? Multiple things I can look at. Look, if guys have inputs locked in, if you have seed locked in, if you bought your nitrogen last year, if you bought your fertilizer, you're going to plant what you're going to plant, and it's probably going to be corn at this point. We love to plant corn. If you've got your inputs locked in, there it is. However, this corn bean ratio at about 2.6 to 1 right now should buy bean acres if you don't have your inputs in, because what we have seen with fertilizer and inputs happening over the past weeks and months. I will also say the price versus rotation argument is always going to go to rotation if the inputs have already been taken care of. But what about the Dakotas? I personally think that we're going to be seeing a huge impact in the acres number on soybeans, because last year, after 4 to 5 straight years of absolutely cruddy prices and crop problems in the Dakotas, those guys were ready to throw in the towel on soybeans and corn and all sorts of things up there, but especially soybeans, saying to heck with this. I am going to quit. I'll go back to dry edible beans or sunflowers or something. All of a sudden, you put beans at $15. What the heck are they going to plant? You got the crop insurance price at $11.87. What are they going to plant? Oh, sure, they're going to take a crack at soybeans again. They're going to throw beans in that field as much as they can, because the price is going to reward them to do it. Look for bean acres to be well above expectations, all on the backs of North Dakota. My opinion only, not a trading recommendation. What's the reaction going to be to an early, easy planting pace? Look, if my precipitation and temperature forecast is right, we're in the fields on April 15th. Some of you on April 6th, and you're going to say it's April 15th. You're going to be trying to plant, get everything in, done. What's the reaction? If we plant early and we have easy planting pace, good weather, the market all of a sudden thinks we've got a record crop on the way. That's going to be a bearish push. And the summer dryness, there's going to be it. Where is it going to be? My money's on the Western Corn Belt, the Plains, and the Southern Plains. That's where it's at. So when we tie all this up together, we've got quite the mess coming up here. Buckle up. You can contact me at any time at these areas. I don't think we probably have time for questions because I am a rambler. Maybe we have a chance for a couple. But long story short, I do not think we have serious weather problems here, at least in Northeast Indiana. We are going to probably be able to move into planting relatively quickly. I think we'll get good warm air. I do not have concern about a late frost. I do think soil temperatures will pick up quickly. And these markets, oh, Nelly, I tell you what, if you don't have any new crops sold, you probably should get it. Again, not a trading recommendation. I'm just telling you, I sold some corn that I'm growing next year already. I think we have some work to do in this market. And take a quick look at 2022 crops right now as well. And like we said, back in 2008, these crops went up and they fell just as fast. If that's going to be the case, you may ought to look at a market opportunity out there, 22 soybeans and corn as well, especially after today's move.
Ryan, we do have time for questions. I haven't seen any in the chat, but if anybody would like to unmute, he provided a lot of information in a fairly short amount of time. So feel free to unmute and ask a question.
Shell shocked. That's the word, Drew. They don't know what to think.
Yeah, that was very good.
Well, as always, if anybody does have questions, contact information was there. Reach out. I'll always talk to anyone. It's no big deal.
And I'd be glad to share that with anyone if you need the information. Brad or I or both can get you the contact information for Ryan after the meeting. Thank you again, Ryan, for your time, and thank you so much for the good information.
You're welcome. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Ryan. Missed seeing at Purdue this year for a career fair. Both of us didn't make it down there, so the way it was. Okay, I'm Randy Rowe from Adams County Soil and Water Conservation District, and just one of the first appreciate Rex Moore and Steve Kuhn from Adams County Commissioners for being online here this evening, and also Chris Crabtree from Jim Banks' office. We appreciate these legislatures for taking time out here this evening to be involved here in Adams County. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. So we do have a slide presentation here to explain a little bit about what's been going on here in Adams County with 2021 and how things were different in 2020. So Brad, if you'll cue that up, I appreciate it.
Welcome. I'm Sandy Vogelweed with the Adams County Soil and Water Conservation District.
Great.
It is such a pleasure to be with you. Just want to share a few highlights of 2020 with the Soil and Water Conservation District here in Adams County. Our goal is to provide information to land users on how to protect our natural resources and our soil and our water. And we are governed by an SWCD board. It was formed back in 1953. Our organization was formed, and these gentlemen are serving here in 2020. We've got Randy, Paul, Corey, Dan, Dean, Phil, and Jean. And we appreciate these gentlemen giving their time to help enrich our community and to leave a legacy for our families. The staff is made up of Josie Kahn, who is our assistant conservationist, and Dan Kaminsky, who is our conservation agronomist. We have Dan here as a result of a cooperative agreement with the NRCS. And so we were so thankful to have three of us working together. And also our conservation partners. They are invaluable and really can bring so much good to our community. And that is Brian Musser and Bennett Smith of NRCS, Lindsay Bloom of ISDA, and Brad Colhagen of Purdue Extension. You know, 2020 has been a different year for all of us. And it has brought about, as we all know, a worldwide pandemic. It's brought infection through our global community, and it has definitely influenced how we go about living our daily life. And we still have our restrictions that are in place to help protect our health and our safety. And as a result, the Adams County SWCD had to really rethink how we went about doing our education events and how we were able to do business to serve citizens of Adams County to protect our water and soil and natural resources. We weren't able to hold our spring fish and tree sale this year. However, we were able to do it in the fall. And as a result, we had 4,500 fish that went into local ponds, and 32 trees were planted in Adams County. And through our program with the state nursery seedling program, we had 3,700 seedlings that were distributed in our area. Trees are a precious resource and provide many conservation benefits. Another change was Splash in 2020. Our children weren't allowed to go to school. So Splash was canceled for the first time in over 20 years. So to make up, Josie and I are busy working on recording different experts and conservationists in our area so that we can bring Splash events for both the current sixth graders and seventh graders in 2021. And we wanted to point out, we had already got our art winner. Each year, the sixth graders submit artwork and we use that for t-shirts. And in 2020, Reagan Bollenbacher was our winner. She is the daughter of Vince and Joni Bollenbacher. We really just applaud her and her great work that she has done. Congratulations, Reagan. So early in 2020, I had started to design education kits for teachers. Then when COVID hit, Josie just jumped in there to help out, and in full swing, she designed several education kits for educators to use. And we offer that free of charge, and the educator can use it for a couple of weeks. And with those, or within the kits, we have coordinating resources, lesson plans, activities, books, and or supplies that are included in each one. Some of the kits that we currently have available are All About Pumpkins, which is about the plant life cycle, Wonderful Worms on the decomposers, Hopping Frogs, Butterfly Life Cycle, Tree Education, Healthy Soils, Investigating Owl Pellets, the Water Cycle, Rocks, and Minerals. If you know a teacher, well, have him or her reach out to us so they can utilize one of these conservation lesson kits. Another successful project we took on in 2020 was our Interseeder project. A dozen local producers participated in planting green into standing corn. This gave cover crops a head start in their growth, which reaped many benefits in these farmers. A special thank you to Newsbaum Farms in providing the seed, equipment, and manpower to plant the corn at the plot at our Conservation Outdoor Lab at Adams Central. If you are interested in participating in the Interseeder project in 2021, please let us know. There's limited space, but we would love to have you participate in that program this year. And Purdue Extension, they found out about this project and they reached out to us because they have drones. We are so fortunate that the state specialist is located right in Blackford County. And so he came on out and flew his drone and took data, and also had different drone experts from Jay and Wells County, Purdue Extension, that helped with this documentation process also. In August, we offered outdoor labs to look at plots closer. This gave our local producers an opportunity to ask questions and to see firsthand the benefits. The southern tours were of Dean Tonner and Phil Eicher's fields. These two fields are located less than a mile apart from one another, and they had many differences, such as population and depth planning. It was interesting to see the difference. And up north, the tour took us to Alan Franz's farms. In the background of this picture, you can actually see Finney equipment displaying his piece that he has let us use, his intercedar equipment. We really appreciate the collaboration with Finney equipment. Did you see our billboards in 2020? There were a couple on Highway 27 near Bern, and then one on Highway 224 north of Decatur. The topics were cover crops, and secondly, the other topic was protecting our rivers by not spreading manure on frozen ground. These billboards really encourage best management practices of our local producers. With the partnership of FFA at Adams Central Schools, we were able to utilize 3 acres to provide a learning opportunity. At this space, the intercedar plot was implemented. 15 cover crop test strips were made, and a pollinator garden was begun. We hope to improve this project in 2021. Now, no county soil contest was held in Adams County due to COVID. However, the area-wide soil contest was actually held here in Adams County, Indiana. This year it was located at Gene Whitty's farm along Highway 27. There were over 70 students that participated in this. Adams County SWCD continues to offer conservation equipment to our local producers. This gives our local farmers a chance to try out a piece of equipment before committing to a large purchase. Also, an opportunity to give more conservation practice and best management practices to be applied to the ground here. Contact us to ask us about using this equipment. I'd love to work with you on it. Currently, I serve as the board's executive secretary on the Upper Wabash River Basin Commission. This organization is comprised of 4 counties: Adams, Jay, Huntington, and Wells. The board is comprised of SWCD representation, county commissioners, and surveyors. We were awarded a Lake and River Enhancement Grant, which is also known as LAIR. This gave us funding to conduct a functional assessment study where 22 miles of the Wabash River were flown in Adams County and into some of Wells County. Afterwards, a second $40,000 LAIR grant was awarded to do some design on the bank stabilization plan. There was a hairpin turn in the Wabash River that was threatening the integrity of Road 1100 South in Adams County. This is right outside Geneva. A committee of 5 from Adams County, Doug Bauman, Paul Knorr, Paul Bloom, Tim Barkey, and myself were asked to oversee this design project. After Cardinal Engineering firm was awarded the contract to finalize the design work has progressed under the direction of Tim Barkey, which is Adams County engineer. Also, we're part of the Maumee River Basin Commission, and it is also compiled of SWCD, county commissioners, and surveyors. However, it's from 6 counties further north. Some of the highlights pertaining to Adams County, particularly was the purchase of 91 homes and the Evergreen Assisted Living Home. Additionally, on the Blue Creek, a stream gauge was installed to study water quality. We appreciate Lynn Selking serving as our representative on the Maumee River Basin Commission. Adams County serves on the steering committee with the Allen County SWCD to design a new watershed management plan for the Auglaize Flat Rock subwatershed. Together, we have traveled down each road in the area to analyze a variety of concerns and to collect data. After we complete this watershed management plan, all watersheds in the Western Lake Erie Basin will be complete with plans. From a grant, Purdue University has conducted a pair watershed study in Adams County and continues to do water testing and aquatic life sampling and is studied. As a result, a collaborative group has been formed called the St. Mary's Advisory Group. Different educational material has been created. Also this year, monthly webinars have been offered. In fact, the March webinar featured Nate Selking. It is easy to join these webinars. However, pre-registration is required. 10 counties create the South-Northeast group of SWCDs in Indiana. It's just a wonderful group that I have the opportunity to work with. And currently, we are planning the postponed Indiana District Employee Association statewide conference. So SWCD staff from 92 counties are invited to attend. We have been working on trainings, programming, and more to better equip SWCD staff throughout the state of Indiana. Speaking of training, in 2020, I was able to complete the leadership course offered by Vincennes University. Also, Josie and I, and along with Phil Eicher, are working towards our certification with the Indiana Master Naturalist. This program is offered by DNR. It offers a considerable amount of training on our natural resources such as wildlife and the Wabash River, among many other things. Josie and I were approached to participate in the Wonderland of Lights at Hibachi State Park. So she and I went about creating a 40-foot by 60-foot outdoor exhibit, and it contained a gingerbread boy and girl, and of course they had to plant a garden of candy. So several conservation messages were also included. And boy, was this the year to participate in this COVID-friendly activity because they had a record-breaking year with an estimation of over 12,500 visitors to the exhibit this year. Our winter conservation meeting this year took on a new format. After many changes and plans, we conducted a webinar with the help of CCSI. Jim Horman was our featured speaker, along with Dan Kaminsky and Brad Colhagen. Over 72 people participated. Later in the afternoon, about 30 people stayed on for a soil health live discussion. It was a lot of fun. We didn't stop with one webinar. We stayed busy, and just 2 months later, and that's with the holidays mixed in, we had a webinar series planned and going. The webinar series is Planting Green, and I encourage you to go ahead and register for the next two portions of this series. All you have to do is go to our website, and you can easily register on there. It's very easy to do. We welcome you to reach out to the Adams County Soil and Water Conservation District anytime with ways we can be of help to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy. Appreciate all the help you did. People don't realize it. Adams County Soil and Water Conservation District was actually formed in 1957. Anybody know what pandemic was going on back then? The polio pandemic. So I'm sure they compromised and did things differently back then, just like we had to do here in 20 and 21. So how do we adapt? That's what we have to do then. So I'm sure people look back or look in 20 years, how do they adapt, in 20 and 21? So how things change. So we're going to move on to our financial report, and we'll turn that over to Corey Beaumont. Corey, if you'll go ahead and do the financial report, please.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. We'll go ahead and get started here. We got the balance brought forward at the very top line. We had $71,789.33. Not going to go through the whole report here, but we got the receipts just under that, and that's the grants that Sandy and Randy were talking about that we've done this last year. Then the next line under, summarizing there, we have the equipment rental. We have drills and different things that we rent out and bring in income there. And also we have the interest. That's just a real miscellaneous. And then, so that brings basically our total revenue and receipts there at the 135,390.35. Then the disbursements, a lot of that was through also things that Randy and Sandy talked about what we've done this year. So we ended with a balance at December 31 at $70,864.46. So turn it back over to Randy. Thank you.
Thanks, Corey. Either if somebody could make a motion either through the chat box or raise a hand, I'd appreciate that. And Drew, if you could see that, let me know, please. Somebody make a motion.
So move, Randy. It's Paul.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
That was Dan
Okay.
Abnett.
Okay, thanks, Dan. So let's assume this by acclamation, if that's all right with anybody. If anybody probably opposes that, let me know, but assume that was assumed by acclamation. If seeing no opposition was acclamation, and make a motion will be approved. As soon as I get my mouse to work here, I will move to the next slide. So now it's time for elections. Paul Bloom, the board appointed Paul Bloom as, we have two people up for elections. Paul Bloom, one is an appointed position and one is the elected position. And Paul was appointed by their board. Paul is a graduate of Adams Central High School. He currently serves on the Adams County SWC board. Paul has been grazing cover crops, has waterways, he installs equip programs. He's in the no-till. He's been married for 33 years to Carla, and he has 3 daughters and 1 grandbaby. So Paul, congratulations. And you will be installed at a later date since we're virtual this evening. And then we will have an election here this evening, and the board has nominated Dean Connor. And Dean is 100% cover crops. He no-tills the majority of his acres. He has filter strips. He's in row crops, and he has a hog farm in southern Adams County. He's a graduate of Adams Central High School. He's been married to his wife, Julie, for 33 years. And together they have 3 married sons with a total of 7 grandchildren. I don't know how that's possible because you're younger than I am, Dean. And this is the eligibility to become for a supervisor for Adams County. If somebody else wants to be nominated from the floor, they're welcome to. So to be eligible for a supervisor here in the Adams County District, the individual must be of voting age or a representative of a firm, company, or corporation that owns or rents land or property located in Adams County. And that's also the eligibility to vote. And I guess, so this time I take any nominations from the floor. And Drew, if there's any nominations on the floor, I take them at this time. If you see any, either by raising your hand or, and if not, I would take a motion to close the nominations. Seeing that, go ahead.
I don't see any, Randy.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion to approve Dean. Somebody make a motion to approve Dean.
Yeah, Randy, I'll make that motion to approve Dean Tyner to serve for the Soil and Water Conservation District next term.
Okay, Gene Woody made a motion to approve Dean Tyner. Is there a second?
Okay,
Either raise a
again.
hand.
Say it louder.
I will second that.
I think
Did
that's
you
a
hear that,
Dan.
Randy?
Yeah,
Yes, Dan Abnett.
Dan Abnett seconded to approve Dean.
Yes.
Okay. Since we have nobody else running, I assume we'll approve this by acclamation. Unless somebody opposes. If I hear no opposed, we'll assume this by acclamation. Okay, so Dean, congratulations.
Thanks.
And that's really the business portion of Soil and Water this evening. So congratulations, Dean and Paul.
Thank you.
I really don't have more of the chairman's comments. A lot of the comment I have is about how things have changed. When I first came on the board back in the last century, if you want to call it that, we talked a lot about erosion. I don't see anything in Sandy's presentation tonight. We talked about erosion. It's more about quality of water, soil health. So things have really changed, just like the pandemic's changed us and how we're changing. So things have really changed a lot in 20 some years. So things continue to change. We think they don't, but they do. And it'll change for next year. So at this time, we're going to move on, and we have a speaker from Soil and Water is Mr. Jamie Scott. And Jamie is from Kosciuszko County, same county as Ryan Martin. I don't know how we got two speakers from the same county this evening, but that's just so happened. I really don't think I ever maybe officially met Jamie, but I know been to a lot of meetings, and he's been around probably as long, if not longer than I have in Soil and Water. But he's the IASWCD Legislative Chair. He's Northeast Indiana Regional Assistant Director, and he's a past president of ISWCD. Too many letters there, Jamie. So I'll put it over to you, Jamie. You're there someplace, I'm sure.
Okay, can you hear me good?
Yep.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'll just give a quick overview of what's happening in the legislative world that we're following, and then be glad to listen to what Representative Lehman has to say as well. But some of the things that we're following at the State Association is Senate Bill 373. It's the carbon credit program bill, and when it comes to soil health and sequestering carbon and things that we're about, this of course becomes on our radar. One of the things that we really like about this bill is the monies are going to projects that are going to stay on the ground here in Indiana versus some of the other programs, to where it goes to other states and other things. So we're in support of that bill currently. One of the other bills that we're watching very closely this year is Senate Bill 389. We at the State Association are currently opposed to that bill in its current form. It is on the House side, and understanding that those folks are working very hard to correct some of those things, hopefully that we are in disagreement with. We think this bill has some unintended consequences. Not only for water quality, but for quantity issues and the flooding. We all know how important those wetlands are to Indiana. We don't really think this bill was created to do away with wetlands, but look at some of the permitting processes and stuff like that. So we have perfect confidence in the House side to get together and improve upon this bill. Currently, I think as of today, there's now 70 some groups that oppose this bill in its current form. And so again, I think they're working hard on that, and I'll be anxious to hear Representative Lehman's thoughts maybe on this bill as well. One of the other bills that we're tracking very closely is House Bill 1055. It is a bill that is Watershed Development Commission's bill. It does name us as soil and water districts in there. It's just a bill that was supposed to get a hearing this week. The last I knew, it did not happen. And but this is a bill that we're watching closely. It kind of takes that model from the Kankakee River Basin and expands upon that as to how watersheds are developed. And so that area has only been in existence for a couple years. And so we're going to be heavily involved in hoping giving feedback and comments as to how that would progress as it goes along, if so here. The other bill that, of course, we were watching closely is the budget bill, or House Bill 1001. As it is presented currently, there's a 15% reduction across the board for those funds, of which that level leaves us short for Clean Water Indiana somewhere around $600,000. So those of us that rely on Clean Water Indiana grants and the benefits that they provide for the districts and support and programs, that's a pretty big cut. So we're hoping that the revenue forecasts come in better than expected, and by the time the session ends, that those 15% reduction can be restored back to its original level. Basically, that Clean Water Indiana money, for every dollar that we spend on the state level, brings in about $30 back from the federal level. So a very well leveraged program. And again, I think every district in Indiana has utilized that. Normally, those Clean Water Indiana grants, we have about double the request for the money that they can give out. And so it is very competitive, and that $600,000 reduction would be a pretty big hit to soil and water districts and conservation in the state of Indiana. So the state association and our lobbyist, Chris Heiser, we do put out a bill tracker every Friday. Please keep your eyes on that. Any question, please let us at the legislative committee or the state association or Chris Heiser, our lobbyist, know with questions, and we'll be sure to keep you informed of what's going on.
Go back up here where we're at. You just say, is there any questions? Any questions for Jamie? We'll get you back up here a second, Jamie. Any questions? Appreciate it, Jamie. Any about your legislative update? Still got Ryan up there, but hopefully you're not too upset. Seeing no questions for him, we'll turn it back to Drew.
Okay. Wanted to thank Representative Matt Lehman for all of his efforts representing his district 79. If you don't know, he is the House Majority Leader. And I have learned this year an avid South Adams fan. I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunately. I saw him a couple of times in the football season, and it sure didn't end well for us in the sectional. So, but Representative Lehman, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Good evening, everybody. And by saying if it looks like I'm sitting in my car, it's because I'm sitting in my car. I planned on joining tonight. Can everybody hear me okay? Drew, can everybody hear? Okay. So all I can really see is Drew's white beard. So we'll go with it. As long as he nods, I know we're on. We had some meetings tonight, and the place I was in got a little loud, and I thought probably the best place for me to go is to my car and sit under a street light here and get some light. But so I really appreciate being able to join everybody tonight. I wish we were there in person. I do know the past, and Randy, I think when you began, you said when you were first sworn in, back in the 90s. I believe I was the one as the county council president of Adams County that swore you in. So I kind of feel like we've got that I won't say the number of years connection there, but it's just great to see the work you do and others do for the district. I'm just going to touch on a couple things, and Drew, if there are questions, I'll be more happy to answer them before I pop back into my meeting here. Senate Bill 389, we'll just start with that one. I know that's the one most people have been reaching out to me about. This came over to me from the Senate. Wasn't an issue I was seeking, more of an issue I think that as it came out of the Senate, really felt it needed to have some work done to it. So as leadership, I agreed to take this. I think what we're attempting to do is not a bad thing. I think that the way the bill's presented and in the fashion it's in right now, it is way too broad, too sweeping, and we've been working with IDEM all week and towards the end of last week to get this in a better place to address just a couple of issues that deal around the farmland issue. And I think when all is said and done, we'll get to a place that everybody seems to be comfortable. I did see the list of 76 groups that oppose the bill, and it's a pretty impressive group. So this is not the form of the bill you'll see it in when it finally comes out at the end of the day. So like I said, I'll be more happy to talk about that. The other issue that I put out there that I think has gotten a lot of attention also is the Grain Indemnity Fund. That issue really hit with what happened up in my neck of the woods. It's really now down to trying to figure out some dates, the best way to make sure people are protected without jeopardizing the fund and putting other programs in peril. So I know the Senate and the House versions are drastically different. I know I sat in on a meeting yesterday to try to find a sweet spot there. We're not there yet. I think we'll continue on that. So that is an issue that I know long term has a pretty good impact on a lot of people in agriculture. I think the budget was mentioned. Jamie brought up the budget. When we went into the budget process, really that starts back in about September. When you start that process, we really thought Indiana would be in a really, really bad place, as many states did going through this budget process. It turns out we're not in as bad of shape as we thought we'd be in. I think the revenue forecast in April hopefully is going to look very positive. To the issue of some of these funds that have been cut, there were a lot of across the board cuts that were taken, waiting for and hoping for a better return on this last revenue forecast here in April. We're on schedule to get done in a good time. The only district out there, the only issue out there that we're not going to get completed on time is redistricting. We have to redistrict every 10 years. That's now. We take our data from the census, which comes from the feds. We've been told since last fall that it would be sometime in March. Then it was going to be sometime in April. Now it's going to be sometime around in August, and maybe not even until September. So once that is there, we'll have to hit the ground running pretty good because we have to have maps in place for November when people start to file candidacy as far as eligibility, and then file their candidacy in the spring. So that is an issue that's looming out there. We think we'll get there, but we got to wait till we get the information from the feds. Maybe the two more issues I'll just touch on is one that I get a lot of calls on also is the governor's powers. I get calls daily now is when is this going to end? I think we're really at a point now where I think if you look in our area, neck of the woods, things have improved. The numbers look pretty good. And I think that you're going to be hearing from the governor that we're nearing the exit of all this. We lead the nation when it comes to vaccination. We're down now to the 50s and soon to be into the 40s age groups. I was talking to a colleague of mine in Utah. He said they're still in the 65 plus vaccination. And so I think we've done a great job of getting the vaccine out. And I think that's why you're seeing some of our numbers improve. The other issue is kind of a long-term, I just had a meeting today with the governor's office, is moving forward in the future. Should the legislative branch have a little more input on some of the activities with the governor's powers? And the answer to that question we feel is yes. We're separate branches of government, but in essence, sometime between when this took effect in last March till we showed up here in January, we really had no say in the process. So we really felt there needs to be a better balance of that. So I have House Bill 1123 is moving that allows the legislative body to come back into session during a time of emergency, based on some triggers that would allow us to be able to come in and analyze and be able to say we think this is the right path or the wrong path, and work with the governor more closely than we have over the last year. One other thing for the district that I think is big is we're seeing a new investment in broadband. Being from a rural area that really needs to see this take root. We've talked a lot about broadband over the last 4 or 5 years, and I tell people that we've done a lot of talking. We need to see broadband. We need to see results. We have discussions down here all the time about 5G in Indianapolis. I'm telling them, I'm just looking for a G, right? Just give me something in my area that we can have some high-speed internet. The feds have stepped up with some money, and a lot of the telecoms in the area have said, hey, we're going to match that, not match it, but we're going to put money towards it. I think we're actually going to see some infrastructure here soon coming out of broadband. So that's kind of the high points that I thought I'd maybe touch on that have a little interest to you guys. But like I said, Drew, if there's any questions that come in, I'm more happy to try to answer them.
No questions in the chat, but I'm glad to open it up for any in-person questions if you would like to hit unmute. Thank you again, by the way, Representative Lehman, for your time.
Not a problem. I always enjoy talking to the people back home. I get to go back in and talk to people that I see every day, and I think I'd rather talk to people I don't see every day sometimes.
We understand. Well, it doesn't look like we have any, so I want to be cognizant of your time, and I'll let you go. But thank you again.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Everybody have a good evening, and stay in touch.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. I will make a comment back to Matt that as far as the high-speed internet, I didn't realize so much until we started to go with Zoom, how this high-speed internet does make a big difference. I thought just streaming TV was one thing, but Zoom was a totally different thing, as we've had virtual meetings out of your home, but it does make a big difference. So I totally understand that we do need more high-speed internet out in the rural community. So that is a big thing. And yeah, I do remember back Matt saying that he was the first person to swear me in. So back in the 98, 99. So we do go back that way from Matt. So yeah, I'll wrap things up if that's all right, Drew, for the evening. And appreciate everybody being online. Totally different than we've had in the past, but who knows how things will work out. As I was to see my family doctor today, almost a year ago today was the first case of COVID in Adams County. Who would have thought we've had, I don't know, some almost 3,000 cases or something like that since then. I don't know, 40 some deaths. I mean, who would have thought things would have progressed in a year's time like that? Things will be different next year. I'm not going to say they're going to be like they were, because they probably won't. When we have our Ag Extravaganza next year, who knows what will happen? Time will tell. It'll be different, no doubt. But I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Everybody be safe. Take care. There will be a recording. Brad will take care of that. It will be posted on Soil and Water's website here in the near future. So if anybody missed it or want to see it again, it will be available. Again, be safe. Take care. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.